Oh my goodness, this is going to be a good one because, sis, if you don't know your non-negotiables, you're going to negotiate away your happiness. And the reason this is so important is most people don't know what they really want. They say they do. Oh, I want a guy who would a guy. That's not what I mean. You see, that's the problem right there. It is deeper because if you don't know what you really want and how to figure out if he has it, what are you really looking for? With 2025 and all the noise, you must get crystal clear on exactly what you want. Hone in on it. And today we're cutting through the confusion and getting you clear on exactly what you will not, cannot compromise on. Let's go. Welcome to the Mindful Muslimah Speaks podcast, a safe space to learn and grow into the best version of yourself that you're always meant to be. I'm your host, Mindful Muslimah, a mom of 5, big sister to the community, and a licensed educator with 25 plus years and supporting tens of thousands of Muslim women worldwide. Now, I'm excited to share a ton of solutions to your problems on love, relationships, life balance, reconnecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting back on track, and more. So grab a cup of coffee and close out those tabs. These next 20 to 30 minutes are all about you. Let's get started. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Mindful Muslimah Speaks podcast. Yes, the actual podcast that is on Spotify, on Apple, 7 million followers, going strong. And the way we get our topics is you. We actually ask you. Or better yet, a lot of you call me up, you do consults with me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, another sister needs to hear this so she could do it differently or learn from this sister. So here we go. Now, when my daughter was thinking about getting married, I have many daughters, but one of them, and my eldest, and she was getting really serious. I asked her to list the non-negotiables that he should have. And it kind of started out like this. He needs to pray. He needs to be, kind treatment, nice to me. And I was like, woo, stop right there. Those are not non-negotiables. Those are human decency, okay? That is like a given. We then spent weeks together digging deeper on what good really looked like to her and what she actually needed for happiness, not just survival. And you know what? She ended up with a man who did not make her compromise on anything. Matter of fact, he exceeded her standards. 1, because she did the work. 2, because she also at the same time was close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he always brings you more than you ever asked for because subhanallah, that's how Allah is. But with that, I also taught her exactly what to look for. All right, dating apps. Digital reality, let's talk about them. Dating apps either make you think you have no options because they suck. I feel you. They're a place to fish, not swim. We have a way to use them. We're not anti-apps. There's just a very particular way to do them, and most people don't. Most people, they use it for a lot of haram, or they don't know what they're doing on their waste time, hate it, delete it, put it back, delete it. I'm just like, it is not that complicated. But let's just keep it there for a moment. Let's park that. Dating apps. You might think there's no options, or you might think there's infinite options. Depends on how you look at it. Here's another thing about digital world. Social media only shows people's highlights, right? So it's sometimes women who call me up who have marriages on the brink of failure are the same women who are like holding hands and hearting on their Instagram feed. You would never know. She's crying every day. I know because she tells me, right? You yourself might be comparing real relationships to Instagram fantasies. And the thing about technology is made commitment to sound optional. One of the scariest things I see with our generation, or like not my generation, the younger generation, is that they think that everything is like, oh, I'll find one better. Oh, I'll move it. If you keep passing up everything coming, there's nothing left, you're gonna be alone. So the paradox of choice is kind of paralyzing a lot of women. So let's work together now. Let's identify your core values and at least get you there, okay? Let's start with that. 1, spiritual alignment. Do not just say pray. He has to pray. That you have to pray, or if he doesn't pray, you can't marry him. You can't stay married to him. Talk to any sheikh. This is like not optional. I know it's becoming weird. I know someone like, you don't know, I can't even find a guy who prays. A'udhu billah. Ya Rab, save us, right? You need to find out how he gets closer to Allah, okay? How close do you want him? So that's the thing. When people say I want them religious, if there's 5 women in the room, that can mean so many things. So I want you to write down in your notebook, what does that look like? Oh, I want you to speak about it in actions, not in high theory, okay? Like, okay, so that means that he gets up for Fajr. One woman might say, oh, we pray Fajr together. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you think that is. Be realistic, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, what does that actually look like? Spiritual alignment, your core values, write down what it looks like in a notebook. 2, life vision. what are the core values that you want to hold strong? Like, for example, in my marriage, what I had said to my husband is there's certain type of an environment I want to build. To me, it's non-negotiable. And I want to know if you have that life vision. For example, I want when people walk in my house, nobody sits for hours in my house drinking tea and coffee and backbiting. No one's going to be like, hey, can I come to your house and backbite today? No one's going to say that. But when they come and talk, they're going to start to make conversations go a certain way. And I wanted to be really clear between him that, like, I don't want those spaces because the angels don't live there, right? Instead, so for example, when I have big gatherings of women come to my house, we used to do this a ton back in the day. Love, love, love it. For usra and halakat and stuff like that. I had 60 women jam up in my living room. And the first thing we do, because a lot of women, it can go one way or the other, right? Is alhamdulillah, they're all going through different things. They're coming here to be close to Allah, to chat, to hang out, to chill, to eat food. But we want to know the space is sacred. So we start with dhikr of Allah, remember of Allah, a little dars, 15, 20 minutes, set the tone. Everybody's on the Allah remembrance train. Will every conversation be 100% halal as I walk across the room? No, I can't, make sure that happens. But we have set the tone in our home that this is a place where we remember Allah, we worship together, and we don't do. And I might actually even say that. But that's it. So I did that with my husband. He was totally on board. Certain types of movies and shows we don't watch. Certain types of, things we don't do in our home or outside of our home. So setting that tone, what does yours look like? I just described mine. Tried to give you some examples and details. What does yours look like? So go in your notebook, write down in action. If you would act that out in life, what would it look like? Now, we didn't even get to the questions on how you're going to figure out if he has this. I just want you to get right with you first. That's really important. Next, we need to talk about family dynamics. How does he treat his mother? That's your future. The way he's treating women closest in home. Now, I put out this Instagram reel and it was a little bit controversial because some men were like, that's not fair. I saw this and that with my father and my mother. Or some women's like, well. There are exceptions, but we're talking on the majority level. People who day in and day out poorly treat women in their home, the likelihood of them doing a 360 or a 180 and then all of a sudden being amazing with you, highly unrealistic. So let's just own that truth. So you need to have that interaction. So what are you envisioning he's going to be like you, with your mother, with his mother? Write it down. You have to know what that looks like. Again, I'm going to just keep reemphasizing in action, not high theory. Let's talk about it. Next one. How does he fight? Does he fight dirty? Do you fight dirty? Right? How does he deal with conflict? Is it going to be a lot of screaming and yelling? Just write it down. What would that look like? And I want you to be realistic. No fantasies here, but something basic. How about growth mindset? Do you want him to have that? If he did, what would that look like? Write it down. I don't know what it would look like. First problem. Can't find something you don't know what it looks like, right? Okay. Next one. Can he handle your feelings and his? What do you want him to look like when he is sharing emotion, when you are sharing emotion? I want him to just at least get it out on paper. Now, if you don't want to do this exercise, you don't have to. But you are going to struggle when we get to the next part. So I want you to take a pause and make sure, save this episode if you have to, so you could do it later. It's that important. All right, so now that we got that, let's do the deal breaker framework. All right, why do I say this? 3 categories. 1, absolute no's. What are absolute no's for you? Addiction? I hope not. Do we want anybody addicted to alcohol, porn, anything? How are you going to figure that out? How are you going to know? I'm listening. Because if you don't know, you're already in trouble. How are you going to go forward? Imagine a world where you have to go to find a guy and you've seen addiction in your family, you've heard it with your friends, and you really don't want that to happen, but you have no idea how to find that. What are you going to do about that? Nothing? That's scary, right? Because the likelihood of you falling into it is really high. So think about action taking, asking for help, whatever you have to do, but I wouldn't leave that as is. Number 2. Now, these I want to say are not non-negotiables. We call them thick questions. Some just compatibility. Some things that are important to you, but they're not deal breakers, okay? So we have non-negotiables. Then we have some values or alignments or things you hope for. They may be flexible. The non-negotiables are just that, non-negotiable. But then we have this other bucket, right? Which are those? These things maybe, travel or living situation or school for the kids or whatever, right? And then the last one are just preferences. Would be nice. Maybe I can have them, maybe if I can't, blah. It's okay. So we have these buckets. You need to know which go in which. You can't just lump them all and dive into an interview, because even yourself, you're going to be confused. If you're confused, he's confused. You're going to have holes in your search. And then later on, you get shocked and surprised when you marry a guy and stuff comes out and it wasn't what you wanted. See it all day. Okay? This is real. So the harsh truth, you compromise in the wrong places, unhappiness. Flat out. And you're going to try to repair it later. Why make it that hard for yourself? It's like breaking a toy and then asking your kid to then hand to your kid, hey, you want to play with this toy? Like, you had a really good toy, then you broke it and you're like, hey, you want to play? Now the kid's going to cry. You're going to spend 20 minutes turning around and trying to fix it. Like, who does that? Like, who just breaks a toy? Well, who dives into an interview without checking out all this stuff? Somebody who could expect problems. Okay? Keep it in mind. Now, for yourself, self-awareness is everything. I talked in a previous podcast about a guy and emotional maturity and his self-awareness. You need to have self-awareness too. Really important. You can't identify what you need if you don't even know what it is. Number one. Number two, your deal breakers should reflect your values, not your fears. If you have some really big fears, you need to address them. I had a sister who she made a profile on an app. She came to me. She could not find a guy for 7 years. She's on the app, off the app, on the app. She had so much trauma from a domestic violence marriage before. She was a divorcee. Understandable, right? So finally we get to the point and she's in the coaching program and she joins and I said, can I see your profile? Because something's off. I have to see and I haven't seen it yet, right? She shows it to me. I read it and I was just like, that's it. I'm going to read it out loud right now and I want you to hear what you hear. And I read it to her. I'm not going to say what it is right now. Read it to her. And she goes, oh, that's a little hard. I go, it's very hard. You're like, rawr. I said, they're going to run away. I said, but that's not who you are, is it? She's like, no, it's not. I go, you're just afraid, right? She's like, yeah. So sometimes your fear will show up in your profile. It will show up in the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, because you're just afraid. So you're doing all kinds of things that are going to be a little bit aggressive or weird vibes. Let's just call them that for lack of a better term. And at the end of the day, it's going to push them away, the good ones away. All right, so be careful. Past trauma creates false deal breakers. You don't want this. Your standards should stretch him to better, not break him. You're not trying to be his mother. You're not trying to control him. You're trying to help him be the best version of him, but you're also not going to accommodate for everything he doesn't have. Like, he doesn't even pray, but if I marry him, I can get him to pray. A'udhu billah. Stop right there. That is different. That is an entire project. We're not trying to take on a project. He has to have certain minimals. So here we are. Recap. What are your core non-negotiables? Get the pen, write it down. Don't write, I want a man. What does that look like? Religious. What does it look like? What is he doing? What are you doing together? Lastly, let's set these boundaries that stick, ladies. Let's wrap it up. Write down your non-negotiables, like I said, and like what they look like, but I'm gonna give you one even better if you wanna be the A student and stretch the extra mile. Why it matters. That's important. Why it matters. Next, practice saying no to small things. Say no to people who don't meet them. Stop trying to stay longer in situations, because all you're doing is saying no to somebody who actually will fit you, because you're wasting your time with that other person in the courting process. Stop explaining your standards. Ooh, I have so many women who feel so bad about themselves and their situation and their standards, and they're explaining theirs, but please don't. They're your standards. Everyone has a right to have them. You're not too much, unless you are having really high unrealistic expectations. But that has happened before, but I'd have to talk to you to know. I'd have to, Remember, the right man will appreciate your standards. He will not fight them. You'll be aligned. And for those of you who are thinking, well, he might be the last one and there's no one else, so I just have to, fear setting in. There's your fear factor again. Be careful with that. If this podcast has been helpful and you feel like these tips are like, ooh, I need to go in more on those, but I have some questions. I want to talk about it. Let's talk. So we have some options. One, we have a compatibility bundle below. It is our starting point. One of the most popular things. Go click below, compatibility bundle. Get started in this journey of getting married. This year, you can find a guy within 7 days. We have a method. You're not going to miss that. Next one is if you want to talk. Maybe we can fast track your progress. Talk with me 20 minutes. I have these free 20-minute calls. They are only to see if you qualify for working together in the coaching program. That is below. If you want actual advice, that is not the link. Go to our website, www.mindful-muslimah.com. You will see we have a consultation call link, and I'll be happy to talk to you in one of our 30-minute or whatever calls. I hope this has been helpful. Love you all for the sake of Allah. Talk to you in the next podcast. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.